hopefully. Hope this doesn't mean we're having some glitches taking place here. So give me a second while I just double check and make certain that we are on and working properly. Come on, computer, let's get this going. Possibility of, again, seeing more potential problems with some heat in the future. We'll talk more about that coming up here in just a little bit. Okay, we'll try this again. Okay, it's not working. Okay, assuming this is working, give me about 2 shakes to make certain that this is on. Let me just make certain that I'm also seeing my audio stream here. That's working. Let's take a look and see what else is going on here. It says we're live. Let me double check on my phone just to be on the safe side. And while I'm doing that, let me go ahead and get Twitch TV going here. We should be live on there as well. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, according to this, we are on Facebook, and it looks like we are on Twitch as well. So we'll go ahead and call that successful and get underway with everything, assuming the MacGyvering of everything holds in place here for a second or two. Assuming everybody can hear and see me, I'm Chief Meteorologist Austen Onek. No, we're not at autumn just yet, but we are coming up on that in the course of the next couple of weeks or so. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a little bit. Thought it'd be kind of a nice little effect to have some falling leaves and remind us that we're maybe in the thick of the summer season, but we are getting close to that time of the year where we will be kind of changing things over by just a little bit. All right, Twitch TV is still working, it looks like, for right now. Good news on that. If you're just joining us, pardon the interruption for getting things going, but I just want to make certain everything's working. Unfortunately, sometimes Facebook Live is kind of hung up on us, and we haven't quite gotten the hang of doing Tumblr Live just yet off the phone, so one of these days we'll get that taken care of. Questions, concerns, comments, anything, drop them into the chat function on Twitch TV and the comments section on Facebook Live, and we'll keep you updated as to what's going on. For those of you who have never tuned in here before, again, on mainly for our Twitch TV viewers, this is not really anything in the way of incredibly exciting information. I don't sew, I don't cook, I don't play music live on Twitch. Just talking about weather and what goes on in our little neck of the woods, which again for News 12 is around southeast Tennessee, North Georgia, northeast Alabama, and a very small section of western North Carolina. But if you have questions about one thing or another, weather-wise, meteorology-wise, ask. And if we don't know the answer to the question, we'll send that out into the ether and see if anybody can answer that or has any good web links out there. And we'll do our best to answer any questions that we do have. What we do have, coincidentally, is hot weather, and we'll be sticking around with more of that in the course of the next couple of days. But there is some hope of dropping the numbers a little bit. Trouble is, it's got to be into this next weekend before we get anywhere close to that actually happening. So for right now, yes, there is the potential of less hot weather coming our way. No, it is not going to be anytime soon. As of the time we're recording this and on live with you, it's 9:50 p.m. coming up on 10 o'clock Eastern time. Again, in the News 12 viewing area around Chattanooga, Tennessee. We'll continue again to see some hopeful, less hot weather coming our direction. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. We'll take a look at the Almanac page. For those of you with kids around the area, we'll get the bus stop going and see what it looks like out there coming up. Plus, we've got some air quality problems in the area thanks to some stagnant air that has been kind of hovering around. And that's not good news for anybody with emphysema, asthma, heart, or lung ailments. More on that coming up in just a little bit. Let's start off with a picturesque view for our West Shore home weather window picture of the day. Thank you very much, Tara Davis Graham, for a triple shot here. Very nice combination of weather events taking place. I'm assuming that this is sunset. Didn't get a location with this, but nice sunset, rainbow, and lightning strike all within one shot. That's a beautiful way to start off our West Shore home weather window picture of the day. Excuse me one second here. That mosquito landing. We do have, again, plenty of room for more pictures. If you've got the pictures out there to share, please send them along to us. Pictures@wdef.com, or drop them to our Instagram, Facebook, or X pages. You can find us out there someplace. Just search WDEF News or WDEF News 12. You'll find us out there at various locations. And if you got weather pictures, anything involving rain, fog, sunshine, blue skies, gray skies, like what we're seeing right now, sunrise, sunset, astronomy photography, anything astrophotographical, we'd love to see that too. We're not picky. As long as it involves weather, go ahead and send it in to us, and we'd love to be able to see what you're seeing out there, so please send them along. Almanac page for the day came within 8 of a record high that hasn't been broken since 1983, and when your record lows are in the mid-50s, you know you're smack in the middle of summertime, because that's as good as it gets on the cold Arctic outbreak air that makes its way all the way down this direction, and mid-50s is the best you can get for an all-time chilly low. That last set back almost 100 years ago in 1927. Goose eggs for rainfall were behind for the year, just ahead for the month thanks to all that rain we picked up about 7 to 10 days ago. So we did manage to pick up a decent amount out there over the last few days. Island Cove Marina and Resort, not much going on, not too many people out and about on the water, so very quiet. A few spiders on the camera lens every once in a while. From downtown, moonset behind the Bailey's Heating and Air logo. Decently clear, a few clouds out there, but notice again that sort of powdery grayish color. That is that smoke and the pollutants building up in the atmosphere across much of the area. From also a new vantage point looking back toward Lookout Mountain here, just coming up on moonset. I've zoomed the camera in on the top of Lookout Mountain, so you're looking right as that moon is going to go right on down across the horizon there, coming up in just a little bit. Traffic at 2475. Looking again at some quiet conditions there. Sometimes at this time of the evening we can usually see some pretty good traffic jams going on. The really cool thing we're looking at right now is that usually we can see pretty clear off into the distance, and as of right now, Signal Mountain off there someplace, you can just barely see some of the radio tower and TV tower lights. That again decently hazy. That's the Tomahawk crane and rigging camera from the EPB Fiber Optics WeatherCam network. Lee Point from 153 and 64 Highway Interchange on the Plainview outdoor advertising camera, again showing that decent gray haze. Can't even see Lookout Mountain off in the distance, so getting that haze out there for now. A nice washing in the atmosphere would be a very cool thing to have, but for right now we just do not have that at this point in time. So that's what it looks like around much of the area for tonight. Again, kind of gray, but not bad, and very much on the warm side. Temperatures just below 90, even though the sun has been down for a couple of hours, and we see again some pretty toasty conditions out there for right now. Bishop Bob Midget checking in on Facebook Live. Bishop, good evening to you. Hope you and Mr. Josh and the family are doing good. Fall sounds good to me. Absolutely, completely and totally agree about that. We could definitely use some fall out there, but it doesn't look like it's going to be coming through, unfortunately, anytime soon for the time being. Let's take a look at the pollutants again for the atmosphere. The smoke that is kind of hanging around is part of our problems, and the other part is this high pressure, this huge dome of high pressure sitting over the central part of the country. Some of that smoke that we're experiencing here came in from these fires across the Pacific Northwest and over Western Canada. This again making its way down our direction, and that's been kind of held in place by that area of high pressure. It's also doing a good job of holding in place the pollutants that we use to do our everyday lives, from industry, from transportation, all that exhaust, the ozone. That gas is great several dozen miles up for an ozone layer. It's not great all the way down to the surface, and that's exactly what we do have for right now. Air quality index, and I did update this in just the last hour. We were up around 100 around the time we were on the air with News 12 at 6. Now we're down to a more moderate 67. The forecast for today was at 80. We made it up to 100. Tomorrow, we're going above 100 into the code orange, unhealthy for sensitive groups. Again, the combination of heat, humidity, and the ozone, gas, and pollutants out there might make it more difficult for somebody who's got asthma, emphysema, other lung ailments, heart conditions. That could be a problem. It doesn't look to be going any worse than this through the rest of the week for now, but that could change. All of these numbers will be changing, and that information courtesy of the Air Pollution Control Board from Chattanooga and Hamilton County, and from airnow.gov, where you can look up all of this information available and to find out more details as to what it looks like. The point is, for right now, with numbers like this, the Tennessee State Department of Environment and Conservation has issued an air quality alert for the more major metropolitan areas of the state of Tennessee. Knoxville, Nashville, Chattanooga included in that, and that is for tonight at 11 o'clock, going through 11 o'clock on Tuesday evening coming up. Whether or not that gets extended through Wednesday, have to wait on that, but that is a possibility. This means, again, that these areas that collect those pollutants, especially under strong domes of high pressure like what we have right now, this is where we're going to be seeing the worst air quality coming up. Now, we don't have anything for Georgia, Alabama, or the Carolinas, and the reason for that is this is a state-issued thing. So for Tennessee only, at the time we're talking to you, if that changes from Alabama or Georgia or the Carolinas, we'll let you know about that on News 12 as soon as we possibly can. But now is the time to make certain you've got things prepared for tomorrow. Reduce trips in your cars. That'll help to avoid adding extra pollutants to the atmosphere. Again, if you have anybody in your family, friends circle who is going to be breathing in this stuff tomorrow, it's not quite as bad as what we saw several weeks ago when that full force of those wildfires sent the smoke from Quebec and around portions of Ontario down our direction. But it is possible that we could see more activity like that as we get into the rest of the forecast. So for right now, we could be looking at the potential problems out there, once again, of air quality. So keep it tuned to News 12, and we'll keep you advised on that. Regional temperatures as we approach the 10 o'clock hour, numbers back in the 70s and 80s across much of the area. The dew point temperature, which is the temperature of the air completely saturated, that is as much moisture as the atmosphere can hold down toward the surface. And right now, the dew point is over in this direction. Last week, we were into the 50s and 60s, very dry, very comfortable. The farther away the dew point temperature is from the air temperature, that's a wide range, and that means there's a very dry atmosphere. When those numbers get closer together and the numbers on the dew point get closer to the air temperature, that means you've got a very saturated atmosphere. That's harder for the sweat to leap off your skin and cool you off by evaporation. Those are those muggy, sultry, very uncomfortable nights. I remember a lot of those at Boy Scout camp with some of these numbers out there. So we'll be looking at some pretty high dew point temperatures over the next several hours to the next couple of days from what it looks like. Any chance of any relief out there? Not by much. We hope so, but it is possible that the chances of rain are several days away. We actually have a cold front trying to back into the area in name only, not helping us out on anything else at this time. We do see again some of those clouds making their way down from the northeast, but beyond that, and that little blip of green, that's just moisture condensating in the lower parts of the atmosphere. So that's not anything in the way of rainfall, and doubtful we're going to be seeing much of anything else anytime soon. Let's take a look at the maps, if I can remember what I did with them. Okay, here we've got one tropical system down to our south. That's the closest one. We'll take a look at that in detail in just a little bit. Also, what's left of tropical system Hillary, now over the Rocky Mountains of all places. What we've got is this backdoor cold front trying to make its way through our direction. Backdoor cold fronts are so named when they make their way in from the northeast rather than from the west-northwest, which is what they usually come in from here. High pressure, that's keeping things stagnant and quiet and very much on the hot side. Notice this right up here. That again is a warm front showing which direction the hot air is going, and it's going to be moving this general direction as that warm front takes over that quote-unquote cooler air and then pushes it back our direction. So we'll be seeing a lot hotter air coming up in the near future and no help from any tropical systems coming on through. So running the numbers into tomorrow morning, numbers will not be that comfortable, heading into the mid-70s only by early Tuesday morning. By early Tuesday afternoon, mid to upper 90s for Hamilton County, northwest Georgia, and northeast Alabama. Either side of Chattanooga might only make the upper 80s to the lower 90s in those higher elevations, but that's small comfort, unfortunately, for the rest of us. Temperatures into early Wednesday morning, peak of the week back in the mid-70s, and then for early parts of Wednesday afternoon, we'll head right back up again into those mid-90s. So very much on the uncomfortable side yet again, and no chance of rain, hardly any cloud cover out there anytime soon. Now, as with the time we record this, which is again almost exactly 10 o'clock Monday evening, there is no advisories, there are no watches or warnings involving heat, which is good news at this time. But about 20 different states under some form of heat advisory or excessive heat warning. The darker colors down here around New Orleans are for an excessive heat watch. That's a warning, and up around Chicago and St. Louis and Louisville, that is for excessive heat warnings that haven't become excessive heat warnings yet. It's just a 24 to 36 hour notice that it's going to be getting dangerously hot. New Orleans seeing some problems there. Lawrence, Kansas, amazingly hot and just sultry as heck temperatures today and yesterday. Heat indexes in Lawrence, Kansas, that's between Topeka, my hometown, and Kansas City. Heat index temperatures there 135 degrees and just mind-blowing amounts of humidity combined with temperatures above 100. Dangerous to be out there working or exercising for very long periods of time. Just again, one more reason to please watch what goes on. Even though when there's nothing going on, it's hot enough out there to really cause problems. Leave the furry friends at home. Don't leave them in a car without air conditioning. Make certain they have plenty of water. Remember, they're wearing the fur coat. You're not. So keep them cool. Leave them at home in the air conditioning. If they're outdoors, make certain they have adequate shelter out of the heat and plenty of water. Remember, animal cruelty and animal neglect is a misdemeanor crime in all 50 states. So let's please make certain we take care of our furry friends out there. Now, do we have any hope for anything less hot coming our way? Technically, yes. Next several days shows the heat dome pushed back to the southwest, and over the course of the next few days, and you'll see this in the 7-day forecast in just a little bit, we start to see less of any major amounts of heat going on well to our north and east. So it looks like this little cooling effect will have an effect on us, dropping the numbers. Again, doesn't look like we'll be getting any frost anytime soon, but it will at least push that heat away going back to the west and south, and then we pick up some nicer temperatures, and we'll show you that coming up here in just a little bit. It also doesn't look like anything in the way of heavy amounts of rainfall anytime soon. That would be nice, but we're not getting that. We'll see again just either normal to below normal chances for anything involving rainfall, less so across parts of the upper Midwest into around the Great Lakes. So that is again the best we can do for now. We're heading into one of the more rainy seasons of the year, October and November. Hopefully that'll help, but we've got a long ways to go before that gets anywhere close to us at this time. All right, running the numbers into the next several days, this is what it looks like, and so far, no good news immediately. Temperatures in the high 90s over the next several days, and that includes part of the weekend. And then we see again some sunny skies out there. We see again the potential for less hot conditions. I just really can't call the upper 80s cooler by any stretch of the imagination, and I'm all about semantics, believe me. So as of right now, very hot, very humid, right into the weekend, the last weekend of August, and then we see temperatures again a little bit nicer, going below normal. That'll make a nice change. Not seeing anything in the way of problems here when it comes to rain or thunderstorms, but here's the interesting thing. There's nothing, I just don't see anything happening. Couple of the computer models, a minimal amount, showing maybe some thunderstorms by Sunday into Monday. Right now, I find that to be incredibly optimistic on the computer model's part. I think we will see better chances of rainfall, I think, after this forecast going into around next Tuesday and Wednesday, not tomorrow and the day after that, but as we go into and around the Labor Day, unfortunately, and as we get into and around, or the 28th and 29th right there, and then after that into Labor Day, that's where we see the potential of better chances of rainfall scattered on through. So far, that is again about a week to 2 weeks away, so iffy at best that we're going to see anything like that immediately, but we will keep our eyes on that, and hopefully again we see some nicer conditions out there, because this after a while gets to be very old, and again very much on the hot side. So 2-a-day practices for athletics, marching band practice, whatever you've got going on in the way of exercise or work outdoors, keep an eye on those working or exercising around with you. Heat injuries are a real thing, and if you don't protect yourself, they can be deadly if you push yourself too hard. So now is the time to make certain that you are protecting yourself, and not that cool at night either. Temperatures only back into around the mid 70s or so. All right, let's take a look into the tropics, which just exploded after the weekend. I want to show you this graphic first to give you an idea as to what's going on. We did have a disturbance off of the African coast that might have dissipated. Let me just take one section here and make certain that this is we have two systems out there for right now. Well, what was Emily at this point in time, now a post-tropical low, and this system out into around, the arrows should be moved over a little bit there to that one. So we've got 5 systems across the area, and we also had, again, tropical depression number 9. Tropical depression number 6 became tropical depression Gert. So in the last 24 hours, and you can see more about this on my social media pages, to where we talked about this earlier, and this is from a hurricane expert, to where the last 24, now about 24 to 36 hours, we have not seen 3 hurricanes or 3 tropical systems develop in the last 24 hours like this since record keeping was started around 1851, where good enough records go back to check. The last time we had 3 systems develop in the last 24 hours in August was 1995 and 1893. This type of activity erupting the way that it did is something that we have not seen more than 3 times in a century and a half. So that's really kind of interesting to be able to see something like that. Now, into the Gulf of Mexico, it was Tropical Depression 9. It looks like it is still hanging on. Winds of about 35 miles per hour, and it is still moving to the west at approximately 18. It is just below tropical storm strength. That's at 39 miles per hour. This is going to be heading over toward the Rio Grande, between Texas and northern Mexico, and the computer models take it basically due northwest. The only trouble is it goes over some very warm water, so this could develop fairly quickly. Whether or not it becomes a hurricane between now and the time that it hits the Mexican coast, little iffy at this point. We'll be watching that one with a lot of interest out there. I want to focus in on the trail of this last storm. Started off the west coast of Central America and has now made its way over the Rockies, and basically has basically denigrated, I should say, or just basically diminished into a post tropical storm. It is now no longer being covered by the National Hurricane Center. It's being covered by the Weather Prediction Center. So as of right now, the computer models have this going up into Canada as just a collection of wind and a little bit of rain showers. Hopefully that helps the fire efforts out that direction. A couple of the models going up into British Columbia, but it looks like those are the outliers going up and across the Canadian line, and hopefully not a problem again for us to where we see anything circulating back around again. Possible, but it just doesn't look too likely at this point. Let me go back to this one graphic here, and hopefully I can illustrate more about what's happening. We do have, okay, so Franklin is now a tropical storm. That one, again, going back to the west at about 50, okay, winds are up to 50 miles per hour. So this one here, Franklin in the lower portion of the Caribbean, this is where we could be seeing some possible problems as it goes north toward Hispaniola and portions of Puerto Rico. This looks like it may become a hurricane by approximately, according to the National Hurricane Center, around Saturday afternoon. So this will be going north, kind of doglegging east a little bit, and then back north again, going just south of Bermuda in about the next week or so. But it does not look to be a threat to the United States. For the other storm systems, well back off to our west, Gart is going to become, it is a tropical depression, doesn't seem to be doing too much of anything there. And tropical depression Emily, or post-tropical depression Emily, kind of just wandering out that direction. It might redevelop, but the chances of that happening are about 20%, so not much going on here. And this next disturbance coming up, about a 70% chance of something developing out of that. It's not organized enough to have computer model plots yet. Once it does, then we'll know a little bit more about what exactly is going on there. So for right now, we've got all that happening. Hillary wrapped up over portions of the western United States, and not a problem for anyone in our area of the country. But all of this just shows that we're approaching the peak of hurricane season, and any of these could develop into something much stronger much more quickly. So now is the time to pay attention to what's going on in the weather. Even though it seems like it's thousands of miles away, and they are in some cases, now is the time to pay attention to what is going on, and more importantly, how you can stay out of their way. That's going to be something that is incredibly important over the course of the next several days. I think that'll about do it for tonight. Well, let's take one little look far south as the moon sets where we are. The moon is rising over a mostly clear sky at a Munson-Scott South Pole station. Again, we're coming up on the change in seasons, so that right there is some of the first daylight that the South Pole has seen in several weeks. And it's almost going to be sunrise where the sun comes up and just goes right back down again in the next few weeks on that. But to cool you off, this is something we like to feature every once in a while. And from the National Science Foundation, their weather recording station at the South Pole, an air temperature of minus 81 degrees. So it's approximately 160 degrees cooler here than it is in Chattanooga and this part of the country. Add in a healthy breeze, and the wind chill is minus 119 degrees. The really cool thing about Antarctica is it has only 3 types of weather labeled as conditions. This right here would be condition 3, clear skies and only a minimal or calm wind. Condition 2 is when there's lower visibility and a higher wind. Condition 1 is where you can't see across whatever building you're in to the next building. And if you go outside in condition 1, you could be risking your own life just going a few feet, because if you fall down and get disoriented, you're in pretty serious trouble. So this is actually very nice weather for Antarctica in portions of, for us, late summer, but for them, late winter. They're going to be turning the corner on that relatively soon. Speaking of which, the graphic that I had up at the front with those nice falling leaves, this is something we like to feature to make certain everybody's paying attention to the change in seasons, and give or take about 32 days and change until we get out of summer and head into winter time. So we're almost there, just going to take a few more weeks to get there. So hopefully, again, some cooler weather on the other side of that season. But again, for right now, it's going to take a few more days to get all the way through that. That'll about wrap it up for tonight. And thanks to everybody for joining us on Facebook Live and also on Twitch TV. Again, if you have questions, concerns, let us know. My email address, you can find it on Twitch at the bottom of the screen, right underneath my bar right there. Or you can email me, get all the information from our website, wdef.com/weather. Would love to hear from you if you've got questions, concerns, complaints, if you absolutely must. Give us an idea as to what you would like to see change, more satellites, less radar, whatever. We can't do this without you, so give us an idea as to what we're looking at on there and how we can be a better weather blog for you. Whether you're tuning in from Chattanooga and around the area of the Tennessee River Valley or wherever you're from, let us know. Say hi. Drop us a note. We'll be glad to have you on board for that. I'm going to go ahead and get set up for the 11 o'clock show. Chip Chapman will have your forecast bright and early tomorrow morning, 5 a.m. Eastern on the morning show, so stay tuned for his forecast update. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austen Onek. This has been News 12's exclusive video weather blog, Weather Overtime, for Monday evening, the 21st of August. Stay tuned for much more with News 12 on air and online, and thanks for joining us for tonight's edition.